we still have enough information to prove that evolution took place. If we didn't have any homologic structures to look at, it doesn't matter. We still have enough evolution facts to show that it took place. Now, I had a problem solved for me by the Supreme Court. It happens that there have been 9 cases brought by creationists to the federal courts against evolution. They were competing against each other in the Supreme Court. The first one of those cases that really was important took place in 1968. But in 1982, the Supreme Court case of McClellan versus the Kansas Board of Education ruled in a decision that gave a detailed definition of the term science. The court declared that creation science is not, in fact, a science. What that meant is that people were teaching high school, like me at that time. That meant I couldn't teach creation. It was a religion. You know, I could teach evolution because it fit the definition of science. Now, that court case was challenged by 2 teachers. One of them challenged it on the basis that he had the right to teach because of freedom of speech. He could do what he wanted to in his class. Well, he lost that case. And he lost it very simply because he was trying to teach creation in a public school that doesn't allow religion to be taught in a public school. He lost. He should have known better to bring the case. And then another guy challenged it. He challenged it on the idea that, well, I'll make my own curriculum. I'll show those guys. Well, of course, what happened is the school board said, hey, fella, you don't make the curriculum in this place. We make it. And he lost the case, too. Now, I hope that makes you understand why the creationists want to get to the 7th grade. They want to get to the 7th grade because that's the only place you can talk to school boards who don't know anything about evolution. Let me explain this to you. When I'm going to use a textbook, what do I use? I use one like this one. Now, this textbook is a pretty basic text. It could be used in the University of Florida, University of Michigan, and any large school in the United States. Even small schools. As a matter of fact, I looked at the textbooks that are used here at Embry-Riddle University. They're great. One of the ecology books here has one of the best chapters on evolution I've ever seen. It's a great book. Anyway, this is what I had to use. And if you think about it a second, all the facts in here have to be able to stand scientific scrutiny. Somebody is looking at these babies, you know. Well, here's what you find out. There is not a school in the United States that does scientific research that accepts creationism. Not one major college or university in the United States accepts creationism or intelligent design. Matter of fact, let me say it a different way. I really checked. I really looked. And I couldn't find a major college or university in the world that accepted creation or intelligent design. Now, I thought, teacher, I got to find out about this stuff. So where do these guys get their ideas? So I ordered some Bob Jones textbooks. This is a Bob Jones life science book. They use it in the 8th grade. It has 500 pages in it. It has 250 references to biblical verses to explain science. It has not one reference to a scientific journal or book. It uses the term God 380 times, Satan 3 times, and hell twice. Here's the biology book that Bob Jones puts out for high school students. It has 692 pages, 350 references to biblical verses to prove science. Not one reference to any scientific journal or scientific book. It mentions God 600 times and Satan 40 times. This book is printed right here in Florida. You know it's a creation book because it says so. Biology, God's living creation. It's a creation book. This company claims that they are the largest textbook publishers for creationist schools in the United States. Now remember, we're talking creationist schools. These things would never be allowed in a public school because they're religious. This book has 650 pages in it, 150 references to the Bible. No science references at all to any book, any article, anything. It mentions God 425 times. Well, I'd like to ask a question. You know, when I come before a group like this, and I want to show you that I've tried to keep up with things. I mean, I read the Scientific American, and I trust the Scientific American. I get a book especially put out for teachers called the National Center for Science Education. You know, it has a lot in it about evolution and creation. I trust that book. I go to the bookstore and get Discovery. I trust that too. And I trust the National Geographic. They've been at it 100 years. They know how old the Earth is. So I'm looking out at this audience. You look like a really great group. Lots of college students and lots of creationists in here. I'd like to know where I stand before I go any further. How many of you folks would like to see Embry-Riddle University be the first university in the world to accept creation and intelligent design in their science department? Can I show hands? Thank you very much. That's exactly what I expected. You know. Okay. Now, I'm often asked, well, how do you handle the stuff with the students as far as the evidence is collected? Well, let me just give you a list of things here that are pieces of equipment that scientists use to study evolution. Computers, ultrasound, core boring, sonar, lasers, deep-sea vessels, chromatography, electron microscopes, DNA sequencing, ultraviolet light, radioactive dating, television, electrophoresis, X-rays, robotics, spectroscopes, photography, and Geiger counters. Those pieces of equipment are used in chemistry, physics, geology, and evolution. We get the same results they do. There are people in here that I imagine would not want a crime to be solved because you wouldn't believe the evidence that was collected by using these methods. These are the methods that evolution uses.
Professors, you'll have an additional 5 minutes to rebuttal Dr. Hoven's opening statement and to pose a question to him.
I am curious about your presentation, which was, I am impressed. The only one I've heard speak that quickly was a Texas auctioneer, but I tried really hard to concentrate and get it all. The earth was created 6,000 years ago in 6 days by God. I am confused. Being philosophically consistent and being a very honest person, I'm sure you can tell me where God came from. And in addition, once you've told me where God comes from, please try to clarify how you can figure that a spiritual force can have an impact on a material universe to create it. I think that some years ago we already talked about that kind of thing in philosophical circles at any rate, by posing the question, if angels are made of spiritual matter, and a pen is made of material matter, and spiritual matter displaces no space, how many angels can dance on the tip of a pen? I have a sense of sort of reversal experience here, but please do, go ahead.
You got 5 minutes. Now, I just want to know which question.
That's all right. You may take the rest of the minute.
We're supposed to do one question at a time. Which one would you like? That was part of the format for the debate. So which
I want you to fill in the story of the rest of the beginning of the universe. God, spiritual matter, impact on material matter.
Okay. So 2 questions. All right.
Go ahead.
All right, your question, where did God come from, assumes that you're thinking of the wrong, obviously it displays that you're thinking of the wrong God, because the God of the Bible is not affected by time, space, or matter. If he's affected by time, space, or matter, he's not God. Time, space, and